Good evening. After 28 days, the federal government shutdown is officially over. But for millions of Americans, life is not fully back to normal just yet. Payments and services are restarting, but the gears are still grinding. Seniors who rely on Social Security, SSI, and SSI.
Senate vote. How it went down. All right, so here's what actually happened. The Senate voted on the government funding bill, and as always, politics made everything super messy. They needed 60 votes to pass, and the final tally was, drum roll please, 60-40. That was barely enough to get it through. Of those votes, 52 Republicans voted yes, and 8 Democrats crossed over to support it. Crazy, right? You know, sometimes politics is just unpredictable. Now the House of Representatives is next. Speaker Johnson called everyone back to vote, and the vote is expected Wednesday. Here's the thing, the House only needs a simple majority, so most experts say it's very likely to pass. Once that happens, the bill goes to President Trump, who has already said he will sign it immediately. So technically, the government is reopening fully. What's actually in the funding bill? Now let's talk details. Many of you are asking, did Republicans get what they wanted? Did Democrats get what they wanted? Well, yes and no. Senate context. The Senate has 100 seats, with 53 held by Republicans. To pass a bill, 60 votes are required, so cross-party negotiation was necessary. The biggest issue, the expiring Obamacare subsidies, set to expire December 31st, was the main sticking point. Other disagreements existed, but this was central. The compromise. Senate Republicans promised a vote on extending the Obamacare subsidies by the second week of December, but insiders expect this vote to fail, which has frustrated Democratic leaders. So yes, the government is technically open, but political tension is high, and this isn't the last we've seen of it. Temporary funding and risk for January 30th. This funding bill is temporary, covering only until January 30th. That's just 2.5 months. If Congress doesn't approve a full year budget by then, we could face another shutdown. And here's the kicker. This next one wouldn't happen during holiday travel season, so politicians might not feel the same public pressure to reopen quickly. Impact on SNAP and EBT recipients. Let's get real. This affects millions of families across the U.S. who depend on SNAP food stamps. 42 million Americans rely on SNAP, including seniors, veterans, working parents. Some states sent partial payments around 65%, while others struggled with full distribution. Imagine being a senior in New York, California, or Florida, checking your EBT card daily, unsure if you'll have enough for groceries. It's stressful. And here's the tricky part. Legal experts argue that the government can't just claw back SNAP payments already issued without due process, but the USDA tried to enforce partial payouts anyway. Confusion is everywhere. State offices, grocery stores, and families don't know who to trust. Federal employees and back pay. Now, for 1.4 million federal employees, the story is equally challenging. Many missed their full paycheck in late October, with some receiving only partial pay. By law, the government must issue back pay immediately after reopening. This isn't something they can just add to your next paycheck. Imagine trying to pay rent, bills, and groceries while waiting for back pay. Why did the government act quickly? So, why did the government finally decide to reopen? Well, the main driver wasn't really SNAP benefits or Social Security checks, believe it or not. The biggest motivator was holiday travel. Politicians were, freaking out over Thanksgiving flights, crowded airports, holiday road trips, and of course, angry voters. The public pressure had been building for weeks, and the shutdown was becoming a very visible problem for millions of Americans trying to plan their holidays. Families were worried about missing flights, students were stressing over travel, and retirees were concerned about whether their Social Security and SNAP benefits would arrive in time for the festive season. So, reopening the government just before Thanksgiving was a strategic move to prevent total chaos and avoid massive public backlash, especially in major cities like New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles, where travel demand spikes dramatically during the holidays. Economic and financial impacts. Now, Let's take a closer look at the numbers and what this shutdown really meant economically. The October jobs report didn't release on time because of the shutdown, leaving the Federal Reserve to make interest rate decisions without complete information. Imagine trying to set rates and guide the economy without knowing the full picture. It's definitely not ideal. Plus, the inflation report was delayed, which added more uncertainty for businesses, investors, and everyday Americans trying to budget. Their next Fed meeting on December 10th will incorporate these delayed reports. But for now, the financial landscape was essentially flying blind. This uncertainty affected markets, federal hiring decisions, and even pension and retirement planning for seniors relying on Social Security. So you see, the decision to reopen wasn't just about politics. It was about preventing further economic ripple effects that could have had real consequences for millions of families and retirees across the country. Stock market. Historically, shutdowns minimally impact the stock market. This time, when reopening news hit, stocks actually gained. Investors were relieved it ended before Thanksgiving. GDP and output, Ernst & Young predicts the shutdown may reduce Q4 GDP by 0.8%, approximately $55 billion in lost output. Ironically, this could lead the Fed to print more money or cut interest rates, which can boost the market. Let's get personal for a moment. If you're a senior citizen relying on Social Security, SSI, or SSDI, these political back and forths are not just news. They hit your wallet directly. Imagine checking your SSA account and seeing delays or partial payments, wondering how you'll cover groceries, rent, or even medicine for the month. It can feel overwhelming and stressful, and like your entire month's plan is suddenly up in the air. That's why it's so important to keep a small financial buffer whenever possible, even if it's just a few $100s, and to stay in touch with your local Social Security offices so you're aware of any updates or changes as soon as they happen. Many seniors depend entirely on these benefits to cover basic daily needs, from paying rent and utility bills to buying essential medications. Any disruption, even for a week, can create serious consequences, especially for those living on a fixed income or managing chronic health conditions. This is why staying informed is absolutely critical. Being proactive, checking your account, planning meals, communicating with service offices, and even connecting with local support networks can make the difference between a stressful month and a manageable one. It's all about preparation, patience, and knowing what resources are available to help you navigate these unexpected challenges. Okay, now think about the holidays. Groceries cost more, electricity bills go up, travel expenses rise, and winter heating bills add pressure. For seniors and SNAP families, even a 1-week delay in benefits can disrupt plans and budgets. Keep extra food and essentials on hand, if possible. Reach out to local food banks during uncertain times. Track EBT balances daily. Planning ahead can reduce stress and prevent emergencies. Looking ahead, January 30th and beyond. Remember, January 30th is the next risk point. If Congress doesn't act, we may face another shutdown, impacting SNAP, Social Security, federal paychecks, and government services. Staying informed and prepared is crucial. Check state announcements. SNAP programs are administered at the state level. Track back pay for federal employees carefully. Monitor Social Security updates for any changes. Knowledge is power. Practical tips for seniors and families. Here's my advice for retirees and families. Monitor EBT and bank accounts daily. Keep records of SNAP, Social Security, SSI, SSDI, and federal pay. Contact local offices for clarity if unsure. Plan meals and budgets for partial payment scenarios. Share updates with friends and family. Stay connected with official government sources. Be patient but proactive. Don't wait until a crisis hits. Trust me, it makes a big difference. So, the government is back open, yes, but politics isn't done. SNAP benefits, Social Security, SSI, SSDI, federal paychecks, and Obamacare subsidies are still vulnerable. Staying informed is key. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, leave a comment about your state's situation, and share this video. Your stories help everyone understand what's happening across the U.S. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, and with updates on Social Security, SNAP, federal employees, and potential future government shutdowns.